We're here with Talks with Teads in beautiful Cannes, and I'm very excited to be joined by Carlos Rojas, the CEO of IPG Mediabrands Latin America. So Carlos, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role?
Sure. My name is Carlos. I'm actually Peruvian, but I live in Mexico City like 4 years already there. And yes, recently, since last year, I'm been leading the region. So very excited to be here. It's actually a wonderful day, very hot, but still very happy.
As you're enjoying the weather in Cannes, what's one big trend that you're focused on, that you're seeing on the ground here?
The traditional creative festival that we used to have in Cannes has been taken by the digital and tech platforms, just like you guys. But now it's like a reality which is growing and growing, right? So it is amazing when you walk across the La Croisette, you see all these platforms, technology companies, tech consulting companies. So it is amazing how fast is this environment being disrupted, and at the same time how they also create the creative work it still remains there, you know. And I think at some extent is like reinventing itself, because now technology, AI, data is disrupting also that spectrum. So it's very interesting to see how they are rebuilding that, and you still remains with that magic, but also at the same time are having an emerging trend, which is not trend, a reality, I would say already, which is technology, AI, you know, disrupting and entering this whole area. So very interested.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's clear that the world is really rapidly changing around us as consumers, as brands, as marketers, especially even globally. So what is it like for you as you advise your clients in such a fast changing world? How do you advise them on how to stay relevant?
Yeah, it is complicated. It's very complicated right now, especially in regions like mine, Latin America, because it's fast changing, but at the same time, we don't have all the data because of the maturity of our markets. And at the same time, it's very fragmented. So for us, it's very important that we keep that consistency, and instead of trying to work in silos, start to think into an end-to-end process, right? So where we value a lot data. For us, data is probably the most important piece of the variable of the equation, just because it actually allows us to inform the beginning of the process, so we can coordinate and orchestrate the whole process with a little bit more of accuracy in terms of where we are putting the money, what the strategy we are creating, and of course, focusing on the result, the business results that we are looking for. So it is challenging because, as I said, there is a lot of platforms, technology, AI has disrupted a lot, probably more the conversations than the actual work, because it's still developing there. Working with our clients in terms of processes has helped a lot in terms of orchestrate the right way to create the campaigns and getting the business results that they need. So probably that would be the most important part for us: processes, data, and the orchestration of the process, including the creative agency as well, because that is an end-to-end process, a real end-to-end process.
I love the answer that you just gave, and obviously really focusing on bottom line business results. We're seeing this as a trend everywhere in the industry right now as well, focusing on outcomes and bottom line results. So as the consumer journey continues to really transform and change, and the traditional marketing funnel really collapses, there's no more clear path from point A to point B. How do you think about connecting all of those points to really drive brand outcomes?
Of course, we take care of the marketing variables, like, you know, brand equity and all that. But at the same time, we mainly try to plan based on business results. So we take care, you know, about sales. We take care about market share, of course, in the variable that we can influence, because that's a bigger equation than us, the media. And with that, and including the data and the processes that I told you, then it is possible to create a better outcome for the clients. And at the end of the day, what we advise to our clients is that no matter the KPIs that they are measuring, because it could be brand equity, it could be awareness, it could be sales, market share, whatever, the idea is that all of them are aiming to the same goal. Because at the end, if we can measure that goal, we are able to actually track the results and how every single action that we are doing is contributing to that goal. So again, processes, data, we are working heavily in terms of getting those processes in place with, of course, tools and AI and technology, which is what everyone wants to see in their agencies. But with that, we are able to really address business results.
And I think that there are a few important things that you said just around how much focus there is on process and data and optimizing towards results. We're all focused on these things across the different players in the industry. But you also mentioned the need for creativity and continuing to focus on the real human element that we can bring to the table in marketing and in advertising. So how are you at IPG really trying to balance the data element and the AI element with the human creative spark?
Again, that is an area which is being a lot of, has a lot of disruption, especially because of AI, right? And the whole conversation is about how generative AI is going to disrupt the creative work, and if it is going to replace that work. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to enhance the work that the creative people does. I think this is the part of our time is probably the time where the human ingenuity is the most important thing. We will have very powerful tools, right? Well, we are having very powerful tools like AI, but human ingenuity remains like the main thing of that equation. So what we do think in terms of how this process and creative could be, help is something that we call data-informed processes for creative. And it is basically based on audiences and data that we pull from our campaigns that we deliver in the media side, and also with Action, which is our data platform. And we are able to get all that information and inform the creative teams. So the creative teams have better tools. They can narrow down the work, making it more efficient, and with that, create a better result, better inputs for us than in the media execution. And at the end of the day, that also helps to create better results. So it becomes a bigger equation with, luckily, or most of the times, better business results as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see how that all clearly works together cyclically. Yeah. Maybe I'll ask just a little bit of a broader question in that you've touched on so many topics just now. There's so many different directions that marketers, brands, agencies, where we all really can focus at any given moment. What would you say is the biggest piece of advice or area of focus you'd advise marketers to think about in 2025 and beyond?
Look, again, our vision is kind of different because of course, we are followers of the technology and trends that start in the US, in Europe, and so on. But I think there is still a couple which are very important and at the same time connected. Of course, one is AI. I don't need to expand on that because it's everywhere.
Right.
But the other one, I think is retail media. Retail media, it is still something that we need to keep developing in the region, in Latin America. There is still this belief that if you are not a CPG or if you are not selling a product or an endemic product, you are not able to be there. But the reality is that retail media players have become like a powerhouse, right? So you have data, you have audiences. So still work happens, which is true. But I think there are some opportunities where we are able to tap into in terms of getting better results from a full funnel approach. It's not only conversions anymore. It's not only lower funnel. We are able now to get the full funnel approach there, get the right data, get the right results.
Couldn't agree more. And that insight into the real consumer life cycle and where it begins and ends with shoppable moments is key.
And becomes a virtuous circle, right? Because you get that information, that learnings, that data, then you ingest again in this data-informed processes that I was telling you. So it creates enriched inputs for the creative and media teams, and then it becomes a virtuous circle, which works actually great. So
right,
very good.
It's where the balance of data and creativity really can be in symbiosis. Well, Carlos, thank you so much for taking the time from your busy day. Thank you for joining us again for this Talks with Teads, and we'll see you next time.